Hi, and welcome to part 2 of making a wooden cane. This is a series I'm showing in 5 basic parts. This is a cane I made for my father, and I had a lot of fun making it. In part 1, I showed how I chose a tree in the woods and cut it down, and what I'm using is the roots. The root area is the top of the cane. And here are some little trees that I cut and showing the interesting root configuration. So once I get a tree that I like, I can do two different things. I can either use a sander or to get all the bark off that I want to, or I can use different tools. Right here I'm using a draw knife to remove most of the bark. Yeah, I'm doing it with only one hand so I can hold the camera, but you get the idea of what the draw knife does. It's pretty easy. You can just slide it down the cane and it slowly removes layers of the bark. Can also use various knives to carve off difficult areas of the cane. It's kind of fun and relaxing, just sitting there chomping away at the bark. This is a cane that I've removed most of the bark using the draw knife and a small knife. The next step will be sanding off the rough areas. When I'm outside working, I will use a battery operated rotary sander like the one shown in this video, which is a little Ryobi. Now back in my workshop, I have that cane that I removed a lot of the bark using a draw knife, and I'm now using a electric rotary sander. This happens to be a Bosch. I start off with pretty coarse sandpaper, usually a 40 or a 60, and just try to get off all the little uneven areas and any bark that I did not manage to remove with my draw knife or regular knife. I'm also sanding the end. It takes time, but it's a nice saw to use because it doesn't tend to leave striations like a different type of sander. I will get all the way down to 220, actually 340 also, sandpaper. I use the kind that just kind of velcros onto the end of the sander. The other way is to not remove any of the bark first with a draw knife or sander. You can just use a sandpaper and get all the bark off. Again, I'd use proper protection like goggles and earmuffs. Right now I'm sanding off any of the little knots at the base of that's going to be the base of the tree, of the cane. So anything that's not smooth, I'm sanding those off. I'm going to leave some bark on this particular cane that I'm making. So I'm just smoothing off any particular rough spots. Of course, sometimes you want to trim different parts of the cane that you of the tree that you don't want to use, and you can use anything that you have at hand to use. You can use an axe like I was using. You can use different saws. I've used saber saws. This is a keyhole saw. So anything you happen to have at hand, you can use to help saw off unwanted branches. Or I guess they're not really branches, they're unwanted roots. I've decided this area is a little too long for my finished cane, so I'm sawing that area off. I'm using a dovetail saw because I have it and it's nice, and it's a pretty sharp saw and it's pretty easy to use. As you see, it's very uneven after I've sawed off little areas. So this time I'm using my sander to sand off any areas that are sharp. So I'm actually using the sander itself to sculpt the shape that I want. Yeah, if you had a table sander, a bench style sander, you could use that. One thing I like about the rotary sander is that, or this type of sander, is that you can actually get into little areas that a larger sander wouldn't enable you to. I've decided that that root is just too long, so I'm just sawing that off too. It's often handy to clamp your work down when you're working on it so that you don't have problems holding it steady. I've decided to sand down the end where I just cut because it was really pointy and sharp. At this point, I don't really know what I'm going to do with this cane. I don't know, what shape or what design I'm going to put on it. I try it out periodically to make sure that it has a good feel as a cane. So I don't really know what I'm going to decorate it like until after I've sanded the bark off and gotten it to a shape that is usable. So on this cane, as I said before, I'm going to leave some of the bark at the bottom of the cane, but I do want to smooth out areas that are not very comfortable. This cane I actually am going to do a lot more three-dimensional work on with a Dremel type rotary tool, and I haven't even finished that project, but when I do finish it, I will make a video showing how I did it and the final project. But for the purpose of this video, I just wanted to show you that yes, you can use a sander and remove all the bark that you want to. Next, we will start decorating the first cane that I was working on with a wood burning tool. Thank you.